You only get one shot at leaving a good first impression. Most fail, some exceed all expectations, and some will leave you wondering what I was even trying to do in the first place. This is a story of how a single game almost ruined a franchise in one fell swoop. Welcome back to the channel on the Ranking Every Zombies Map series. A playlist with the last two videos can be found in the top right corner of your screen and in the description down below. But just in case you're just as lazy as me, this is the current ranking, so before I take up any more of your time, let's get on a bus ride through. You know what? This map doesn't deserve the intro pan around. I'm going to try and stay as fair as I possibly can with this map, because believe it or not, there are some good features, but when you have a list this lopsided, it will be hard to try and stay unbiased. So first off, what does this map do well? Well, it introduces a new buildable system to the game. It has a new perk. Oh, Ted is actually really funny.
Fuck you!
And all his features make for some pretty good chaos factors in each match. The Stormy Skybox is pretty cool. Okay, yeah, I give up at this point. Saying good things about Tranzit is making me break out, so on to the bad stuff. First and foremost, I need to mention what the goal was with Tranzit. See, Jimmy Zielinski was a little ambitious for his own good. As it stands now, Tranzit is one of the biggest maps outside of Outbreak. Outside of Outbreak, say that 5 times fast. And he wanted it to be even bigger. Yeah, at first this map was supposed to have 2 freaking bus routes, but because of the hardware limitations, almost all of it was scrapped. With that in mind, Tranzit can barely run even after they scrapped half the map. It is obvious that each area was designed more for the survival map element than being a part of a big expansive map. And to hide that fact, they split up the areas with these long sections of land. But once again, they ran into, say it with me now, hardware limitations. This time, instead of removing areas, they did a Project Arrowhead and left the fog machine on all night, covering the paths running between each area. Now, the game only needs to load a small section of the map at a time. With that in mind, can I excuse the fog? Absolutely not, because the fog isn't the only issue. Let's just run around for a minute. Wait, why can't I get over there? Or over here?
It's some kind of wall of psychic energy.
For as massive as Tranzit is and how it really wants you to explore every little nook and cranny of the map, it also prevents you from exploring it due to the invisible walls, lava, and denizens. Yes, the dreaded denizens. Now this opinion might get my head put onto a stake, but the devs had the right idea adding denizens to incentivize bus travel. But the one issue that makes denizens unbearable to deal with is the spawn frequency. If they had even 10 seconds in between each spawn, they wouldn't be nearly as much of a pain in the ass to deal with. But no, there is a Walmart brand gremlin face humping you like that robot from Transformers every 4 seconds.
4 fucking seconds! It took you 4 fucking seconds to piss me off again!
And no, that isn't 4 seconds in between each spawn. That is 4 seconds from when you kill the denizen currently attached to you to when a new one starts to skull fuck you. I'm a little tired of ragging on the map's traveling features and its layout, so let's go ahead and move on to another thing that just doesn't work on this map.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Now, I have one major issue with the Air Force Angel, and that is that you can only kill him by doing melee damage. Now that doesn't sound so bad in theory, but when it is late in rounds and suddenly Diet Thor drops from the sky to blast his juice all over you, it would be nice if we can deal a little bit of damage using anything other than a melee weapon. You can make melee deal way more damage than any other gun, but don't make him impervious to all other forms of damage. Speaking of dealing a little bit of damage, let's talk about the wonder weapon of the map, also known as the random amalgamation of parts I found in the dumpster behind Dollar General. Or the jet gun for short, whichever one you want to say. Hey, this is editing me here. I didn't feel like getting my own footage for the jet gun, so the footage you're going to be seeing is from the round 100 runner, Misa. And so if the footage is completely degenerate, go take it up with him. Now this is the first of many wonder weapons that you can build. And even though it is the first one you can build, it isn't the first one weapon, so if you can compare it to even the ray gun, it is just abysmal. The mechanic behind it is that it has infinite ammo, but it needs to cool down. And if you don't let it cool down, it'll break into a million pieces and you gotta rebuild the entire fucking thing. Now let me tell you, keeping this thing cool is no simple task. It takes years, decades even, of pure dedication to perfect the use of the jet gun, for it to barely even kill a single train of zombies. Wow. I feel pretty confident in giving this gun the official Worst Wonder Weapon award. Keep in mind, I haven't played Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, or World War II Zombies before, so this might change, but for now, it's getting the official stamp. The final thing to mention is the multiple Easter eggs this map has. Now for each of the Victus maps, we can either follow the Richthofen questline or the Maxis questline. Now unfortunately for this map, the Richthofen side requires multiple people, and the Maxis side is technically possible to do solo, but is so extremely difficult to do. What is also unfortunate is the fact that in order to do this map to Easter egg, you need to play another map and find a small, hard to see item just to even start the egg. Even with all of this working against the map, I can't help but have a good time playing it. For some reason, this map is so unapologetically awful that it comes back around to being great. This map is truly the room of zombies, and that is the best compliment this map can receive. So even though I personally have a blast playing this map, it is getting a 2 out of 10 and it's going in F tier. But if I was ranking this map on pure brain rot enjoyment, it would get a 20 out of 10. Now, as I mentioned before, each section of Tranzit was designed around its survival map counterpart instead of the main map. So are the individual sections better than the full map? No, not really. Let's just go in order of appearance from the main map. So, Bus Depot. It exists. So with Noct, I gave it a pass since it was the first map ever, so there were no expectations yet. Bus Depot isn't getting that luxury because this is the 12th map in the series. Not only is it the 12th map, but it has less features than the first. This map has a total of 1 door and 4 wall buys and a single box. It has less doors and less wall buys than Noct. Just let that sink in. At least with Noct, it had charm and atmosphere, but with Bus Depot, all you get is a brain hemorrhage. I don't want to talk about this map anymore, so it's getting a 1 out of 10. Do not play this map, ever. I forbid you from playing it. Alright, I got very little to say about Diner. It's actually a pretty quality map layout, but it can only be played in Grief or Churned. So because of that, I'm just going to put it in D tier because good luck finding people to play it with. I also will not give it a score because your enjoyment is entirely up to how many people you have in your game. So again, good luck finding people. Next up is Farm. Now this map is twice as fun to play as Bus Depot, but keep in mind that 1 times 2 equals, well, 2. It's pretty simple math. The only thing this map has on Bus Depot is the fact that it has perks. It still has basically no doors and wall buys, and it's still just as small. The perks are basically doing all the heavy lifting on this. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 and a D tier placement. Now on to the final survival map, the shining gem in this shitstorm of launch maps, Town. Town isn't just a good survival map when compared to the rest of Tranzit, it's a good survival map when compared to the very best of its kind. It is fairly open with just enough obstacles to still provide a challenge, it has plenty of corners to bunker down in if that's more your playstyle, and I can't believe that this is significant enough to bring it up, but it has Pack-a-Punch. It is kind of amazing how small this map can be while also having so many features. I know I didn't have a lot to say about Town, but if you've ever played Black Ops 2 before, you've played Town and know how good it is. So I'm actually going to rank Town a little higher than Der Riese, even though I'm giving it the same score of 7 out of 10. Alright, now that I have that all done, I guess I can move on to... Why? Just why did I decide to make this series? I've been dreading playing Black Ops 2 because I personally cannot stand playing this fucking map. I'm not joking when I say I'd rather play Burger Town. Fucking Burger Town instead of this. Now this is going to be a pretty hyperbolic take, but I don't like the Nuketown map in multiplayer. I think it's too small. Any map that you can spawn peek from your own spawn simply by jumping is too damn tiny for me. But then, the devs got the bright idea of bringing the second smallest multiplayer map ever constructed into zombies. But not only that, they made it even smaller! Let's skip over the fact that they made the climbable walls unclimbable and go straight into the giant boulders that force you to go through the house. Now, even though I don't like Nuketown, I cannot argue that it has a good flow for a multiplayer map. It's a pretty simple 3-lane setup, but that is why it works. It has those 3 lanes to go down. Now let's look at the zombies map. It has 1 lane. You're forced to go down this singular, cramped path like a goddamn cave diver, which in and of itself wouldn't be bad if it looped back around to the other side, but it doesn't. Let's say you get tired of training in the backyard of the greenhouse. Well, too fucking bad. You gotta wait for the zombies to clear out of the house so you could force your way through it, which just wastes time. That is all this map is, a waste of time. And to whoever thought of the perk mechanic for this map,
may whoever did this die 1,000 deaths. May his stinking, maggot-covered corpse rot in the fiery depths of hell.
For those who were uninformed, every perk is random and will spawn in every few rounds aside from the first perk, which will always be Quick Revive. Now on paper, this sounds fine, until you play the map and don't get Jug until round 20. Just imagine training in the smallest map ever made with a 2-hit down. And once again, Noct is excused because we had no expectations. But here they are deliberately toying with us and it is agonizing. And then you put Pack-a-Punch into the mix, as well as the perks, meaning you can be running around with no Jug and no Pack-a-Punch until round 20 fucking 5. I said before that Moon's RNG is inexcusable, but on Moon that only cockblocks you from the Easter egg. But here, it just stops you from playing the map. I have negative enjoyment playing this map. 1 out of 10, I wouldn't even play this map for Elon's entire bank account. Get it out of my sight. After that massive shitstorm, I'm really begging for something quality to wash the taste of despair out of my mouth. So let's see what's up next. Oh. Now I am always surprised when I hear people say that they actually like Dire Eyes, because I always ask them what they like about it, and they almost always will respond with, I don't know man, I just think it's a good map. So just to spite them, I'm going to go through a series of questions and I want you to guess what the answer to these questions are. Are you ready? How long does it take to complete 1 lap around the entire map? What is the most common cause of death on this map? This last one is even a question. I just want to say, Armored Zombie. You ready for the answers? So it can take either 1 minute or upwards of 10 minutes to make a full lap around the map. This is entirely because the elevator system to get back to the top of the map sucks. If you don't make it to the elevator in time, you'll just be sitting there waiting for an eternity for it to come back. Not even mentioning the fact that if you get on the elevator at the wrong time, you just get crushed to death. What also doesn't help is the fact that this map is the most complex maze I've ever seen in my life. Jimmy does realize that buildings are not designed like this. Speaking of design, this isn't possible. I get it that realism is not the main priority here, but we know what a damaged skyscraper is supposed to look like. And let me tell you, this ain't it, Chief. Now let's answer the next question. You see the title of the game mode and how it says zombies? Well, on this map, if you die from a zombie, consider yourself lucky. because 90% of the time you'll end up flinging yourself off the map or fall down an elevator shaft straight to your doom. This could be avoided if Jimmy Z would just let us have PhD as a perk. But no, he felt it would be best to diagnose us with the worst medical case of blue balls in the history of ever, because he loves teasing it to us on every single map without letting us actually have it. Die Rise, as an idea, is good. Don't get me wrong. But it was executed so poorly that the very concept of playing this map has been erased from the minds of the zombies community. We have all been hit with the Men in Black neuralizer because no one talks about Die Rise. No one plays it, no one has memories about this map. It has effectively been cast into the Shadow Realm. The only saving grace about this map is the wonder weapon, the Sliquifier. Now, even after the post-launch patch, I still really like this gun. And the fact that it could cause you to fall off the map and die is a good balancing mechanic. It is just unfortunate that it couldn't be on a better map. I'm done talking about these shitty ass maps. So I'm giving Die Rise a 2 out of 10 and a F tier placement. So in the thumbnail I called BO2 mediocre. And the reason I did is because if you look at all the maps and separate Transit into its survival map counterparts like I did, 60% of the map selection makes you want to drink bleach, and no matter how good the next maps are, it is impossible to make up that deficit. So even though Black Ops 1 is made up of mostly B tier maps, in my mind it is significantly better than Black Ops 2, because I can boot up any map on Black Ops 1 and have a good time, unlike this game. Now, with that being said, let's jump into a map that 100% deserves an intro pan around.
Where are we going from here? Where do we go? Are we all blinded by fear? How do we know? How do we know? Where do we go? Where do we go? How do we know? Where do we go? Where are we going from here? How do we know? Where do we go?
Mob is special. Whenever I play it, it just makes me feel a certain way on the inside. There is a lot to dissect here, so I'm just going to do everything in order that I did it in the gameplay on screen. Starting with the Afterlife system. I said for multiple maps that it is too cramped and the corridors are too small, but here it actually works because of the Afterlife system. The simplest explanation for it is that it is quick revive. The complex explanation for it is that it's just a better version of quick revive that you need to sacrifice uses for to unlock Pack-a-Punch and complete the Easter egg. There are so many things you can do in the Afterlife state, and like I said, it's just a better version of quick revive, because unlike quick revive, you are not limited to 3 uses. At the beginning of every round, you get 1 use back. This is probably one of the greatest changes made in this map, because it allows for more experimentation with that 4th perk slot. And not the Black Ops 4 type of experimentation, but the good kind. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but the mobster cast is fantastic and iconic. All of their lines are funny, witty, and most importantly, not fucking annoying like the Victus cast. I didn't mention it when talking about those maps, but I would rather have a monkey going in my ear 24/7 rather than listen to them for even 1 minute. But continuing on with Mob, you will quickly run into these sections around the map with a dog symbol on the wall, and once a zombie's killed near it, you'll spawn in a good little boy. Feed enough zombies and it'll eventually go away. There are a few locations around the map that you need to do this, but once you feed all 3 of the heads, you can grab Connor's throwing axe from Ass Cred 3. It doesn't just stop there either, because there is also an upgrade to the axe that is really easy to do, and most people would do it just by accident. Just get a few kills with the axe and then kill a full round of zombies at Pack-a-Punch, and you're done.
That can't be it. Where's the rest of it?
Super simple and super easy. This is probably why I personally like this map so goddamn much. It's because everything is not only easy to understand and remember without looking up guides, but it also all flows into the next thing. You can start off in the Afterlife to show the new mechanic, and with Afterlife you can pick up the Warden's Key, and with the Warden's Key you can unlock the Pat parts. On the way to get all the Pat parts, you'll see the dog heads and get the Hell's Retriever. Everything smoothly flows together, and it's so refreshing after playing so many maps where the very idea of the map is counteracting the gameplay. I kind of just dropped some bombshells on your lap with saying Pat parts, but yes, in order to get the Pack-a-Punch, you gotta go around the map and pick up 5 parts in total to build the plane to fly over to the Golden Gate Bridge, which, if this was in Die Rise or Transit, I would say this is awful. But Mob changed the building mechanic so you can carry all the items at once. I really do believe that this one change saved Mob of the Dead, or at least it did for me. Don't get me wrong, this map still would have been good even with the old system, but it would have been significantly worse. Just think about it. For a solo player, you would have to run from the roof to the edge of the map and back 5 times to build the damn plane, just to rebuild it again if you want to go back to the Pack-a-Punch area. It would have been a nightmare. Thankfully though, we live in the good timeline, where Mob is a stellar map. Something else that I didn't think I would have to mention until later is the fact that this wonder weapon is the first one that can be both found in the box and also built. Very heavy quotations on built, because yes, you have to go find stuff and complete a side quest, but it's simply just chucking your Tommy Hawk at 5 locations and going to the Warden's desk. Again, very simple. The reward for doing this is the Blundergat, an obvious cross between a blunderbuss and an old Civil War era Gatling gun. Personally, this is my favorite wonder weapon ever made, right next to the ray gun Mark III. It isn't just a basic gun, because you can Pack-a-Punch it and also do another buildable mission for it to upgrade it into the Acid Gat, which changes the gun to be more like a grenade launcher with a monkey bomb effect. Also, just look at it. I mean, really look at it. This is a gun that can steal your girl. The last thing I'll mention is the boss zombie of the map, Brutus. Just like everything else with the map, he fits in perfectly aesthetic-wise. And although Brutus himself isn't that threatening, what he does is pretty annoying. So you want to take care of him fast. If you don't kill him fast enough, he will lock down a box location, perk, buildable bench, and even the plane. All it takes to unlock it is a certain amount of points, so it isn't the end of the world, but like I said, it is annoying to deal with early game, so make sure you take care of him quickly. But how do you kill him? Well, it's actually pretty easy. The big guy doesn't have a ton of health, so all you gotta do is knock off his helmet, and then shoot the chrome dome until he is good and dead. All things considered, Mob is very simple for today's standards, even though at the time this was a lot to take in. I do think it did everything exceedingly well, with no clear flaws except for the Pack-a-Punch being a little annoying to rebuild constantly. I would be shocked to see if someone didn't like this map, so I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10 and an S tier placement. No matter what map we got next, it was going to be near impossible to hold a candle to the impeccable Mob of the Dead. So does Buried even come close to being of similar quality to Mob? Unfortunately, in every category, it falls short of Mob of the Dead. But that doesn't mean it's a bad map. Buried's actually still pretty damn good. I'm going to switch things up a little bit and start off with the negatives of this map. Just this once. Probably the worst offense this map has is the fact that the Easter egg is insanely difficult to do solo and co-op. It is mostly due to one step, that being the sharpshooter step, but even putting that one aside, it isn't like the other steps are a walk in the park either, basically requiring a guide. I'm also not quite sure how I feel about on one hand, he has awesome lore, but on the other hand, he is kind of annoying to lead around the map so he can open doors and buildings, and some of his more niche mechanics are fairly jank. Something else that I don't have an opinion leading one way or the other for is the buildables on this map. There are so many different things you can build on this damn map, but even though the sheer quantity of parts will put the average transit player into cardiac arrest, it isn't the end of the world because all the parts can be found in a single building. You know, now that I'm talking about the features on this map, I'm realizing that most of the features on this map are just mid. I promise though, after I talk about this next feature, it will be positives. I swear it. But I must talk about the witches. If you go into the witch's house not knowing what is inside it, you will go to the Pack-a-Punch area being the poorest person in Atlanta. But past that first experience, they're pretty alright. Okay, as promised, the positives. The Paralyzer, my second favorite wind weapon that came from Black Ops 2. Although the killing potential really drops off in the high rounds, it is a great weapon for new players to get more accustomed with the zombies game mode, since it has A, infinite ammo, and B, doesn't explode when you max it out. With the Paralyzer, it is also possible to do jumps and skips to get to many different areas around the map without buying a single door, so the skill cap on it is actually fairly high compared to most wonder weapons. I know I said the biggest flaw with the map is the Easter egg, but putting aside the sharpshooter step, having a super Easter egg was a giga brain move by the devs, because not only does it make this map more interesting and replayable, but it will make people want to play the Easter eggs for the previous maps just to do the super Easter egg on this one. And even though I cannot stand the other two maps, I have to respect the decision to tie the 3 maps together like this. I kind of alluded to this point earlier, but this map is very easy early rounds, and some would say that is a bad thing, but I think it's actually the opposite. With the mass amount of terrible garbage we had to endure to get to this map, and Mob of the Dead being a less casual friendly map, Buried being an easier map for the casual audience is probably the best thing we could have gone for Black Ops 2. And if you disagree, just look at Black Ops 3 with Shadows of Evil and the Giant. Shadows is a very difficult map for casuals, so having another map in the mix for the more casual audience to play kept them on board for the following maps. Buried doesn't really stand out from most of the other maps we've gotten, but it is definitely appreciated for what it did at the time. So I think I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10 and a B tier placement. Finally, the end of the road for Black Ops 2. Many a brave soul did it send to the ether. Now that we are here, I can't say for certain it was worth the pain. I can't say it was worth the suffering and the restless nights, but I will not feel remorse, for it is their wish that I am here today to present to you. I'm going to come out firing out the gate on this one and say that Origins is pretty flawed, but everyone gives it a pass because of the stabs. I won't try to convince you to view this map the same way as me, but I want you to hear me out before you cast your judgment. That is all I ask of you. I have 3 main issues with Origins, and each one links together with the next to cause this massive headache-inducing conglomerate. My first major issue is the monolithic amount of shit you need to remember to even play this map past round 8. I am not joking when I say that every time I play Origins, I need to look up 20 different guides and have them all readily accessible on my second monitor. I would argue that Revelations has more things to do and more moving parts than Origins, and yet I can recite every step for every mask and the Easter egg off the top of my head. Keep in mind, the last time I looked up a guide for this map was over 2 years ago. This isn't because I play Rev a lot, even though I do, it is because Origins is so needlessly complicated. Oh, you want to upgrade the Ice Staff? Okay, memorize this entire chart. Oh, you want to upgrade the Fire Staff? Memorize this entire chart. Look, I don't want to get a PhD in, what is this long ass word?
Clostridium difficile.
Wonder what that is. You know, now that I think about it, it's starting to make more sense that it's caca. Since I already brought it up, let's look at Revelations to see what you gotta do to upgrade shit on that map. Let's look at the Wolf Mask first. So, just throw a grenade in this hole, kill zombies next to the skull that pops out. That's it. Okay, next, the Viking Helmet. Shoot 935 on the clock and get souls in the urns. Are you starting to see the pattern here? Let's look at the God Mask, the most complex mask in the game. Just go into the Apothecon and get a bunch of kills of every type of enemy. Wow. Somehow, the best mask in this entire game is also the simplest to understand. Well, what about the Wonder Weapon? Just go to these 4 spots, shoot the little rocks in the sky, and then you can pack a bunch of it. If you want the base versions, they're in the box. Can't get much simpler than the box. The reason I find it acceptable for Revelations to have a lot of stuff to do is because the first step is really not that hard to do. It's super simple. Just look it up once and you're good to go. And the second step is just killing. You don't have to remember a 10-step sequence or a big ass graph to do the first step, unlike Origins. I've already spent way too much time on this point, so let's move on to the next one. This point may not make a lot of sense to you, but Origins is too reliant on the stabs. If you want to play Origins to use, let's say, the MG08, you gotta get a staff. If you want to do a challenge like the Rainbow Perk Challenge, you gotta get a staff. If you want to do anything on this map, you need at least one of the stabs. Now, to many people, you might be saying to yourself, is that such a bad thing? Well, yes. Let's look at Black Ops 3 once again. All those maps have really strong wonder weapons, but the wonder weapon isn't the only tool you can use. You have your specialist weapons, the shield in some cases, and your normal gun. Yes, your normal gun is just as good as killing zombies as the fucking wonder weapon most of the time. But on Origins, if you try to use anything that isn't the staff, just consider yourself dead already. This fact isn't helped at all by the Panzer coming on round 8 either. Since the Panzer Soldat comes on such an early round, you feel even more pressure to maximize all your points and save a zombie every round so you can just run around the map for 20 minutes picking shit up. It completely kills the flow, and if you decide to blow through one too many rounds, prepare to be anally fisted by the Panzer. Something that isn't a big issue unless you keep everything I just said in mind is the fact that the Panzer can grapple its targets. So if you don't have enough firepower to kill him, once you get grappled, it's game over. This grapple is just another mechanic that incentivizes you into getting the stabs every single game. My third and final complaint about Origins is personal, and also pretty minor. I just find Samantha on this map really annoying. That's it. She's just super annoying to me. I know it may not seem like it from that massive rant I just went on, but this is still a great map. But I felt like it was my duty to bring it back down a few pegs. It isn't this perfect creation from God himself. It has flaws, and more than most would care to believe. So what to give this map? I thought about it a lot, because if I rate it what I truly think it is, I'm pretty sure I would lose all the viewers I gained since starting this series. But if I don't rate it what I think is accurate, then I'm just lying to my new audience. So I'm gonna bite the bullet and give this map an 8 out of 10 and the highest A tier placement. Wow, that was a long journey through many emotions Most of them were not happy emotions, but we were bound to come across some maps like that at some point. The next video would take quite some time because I will be covering all the non-Treyarch games in a single video before Black Ops 3. I haven't played almost every single one of these maps, so I'm kind of excited to see how these games play because it seems like no one can agree on if they are good or bad. Thank you again for watching this video all the way through, and please leave a comment down below on what you would rank some of these maps. It always surprises me to see what some people's opinions are for this game specifically. Again, thank you for watching this video all the way through, and I'll see you in the next one.